We'd
We'd
like to call to order the March 10, 2020 Recreation Meeting. All Recreation Committee members are present. At this point, we'll stand up for the invocation and pledge led by Coach Thomas.
Let's bow our heads, please. Most Heavenly Father, at this hour, we come, Lord, to take care of parish business, recreation business. We ask, Lord, that you give us the will and desire to do so. Well, Father, as we leave this place tonight, we ask that you allow each of us to get home safe and sound. In your name we pray. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. We all say it, amen.
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 Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to remind the public, if anyone wants to speak on any particular subject, to go ahead and fill out a card, and we will get them called up for the appropriate item. With that, we'll go to agenda item number 4, the presentation by the Bullion Primary Robotics Club on Sunshine.
They're coming in now. We have to recall them. Yeah, I want parents to sit down.
Want to come to the podium?
I don't think they
Why
heard.
don't y'all come up to the podium?
I don't think they heard.
Can we get the Bullion Primary Robotics Club to come to the podium? I remember those. Haven't seen one in a while.
Nice catch, Mr. President. So if y'all want, y'all can, whoever's going first, approach the microphone in the front, and you can pull it down if you need to, not too hard. John will come out, yell at you, and start your presentation.
We're the robotics team for Bullion Primary, and for our competition, we had to suggest a way to improve a public area.
We decided to research sun exposure and suggested a way to improve our playgrounds by adding sun sails. Across the globe, hot days are getting hotter and more frequent. This is especially noticeable in Louisiana.
Daytime weather during the summer hovers around 90 degrees Fahrenheit with humidity levels in the 90% range or higher, which makes it feel like 100 degrees or more.
The guidelines of Department of Health and Human Services say that children and adolescents age 6 and older should at least have 1 hour of physical activity each day.
This is almost impossible due to the unbearable heat we experience during Louisiana summers. This is causing an increased obesity rate for our state. In Louisiana, 1 in 3 kids are obese.
When children do play outside, they risk heat-related illnesses and heat-related injuries such as heat exhaustion, dehydration, heat stroke, sunburn, heat cramps, and even eye damage.
Heat is one of the most weather-related killers in the United States. It leads up to 100 deaths each year and even more heat-related illnesses.
As we know, the sun can cause your skin to burn. However, just one sunburn can cause severe issues later in life. UV rays from the sun can also cause serious damage to your eyes.
In addition to the sunlight directly harming children, it has the potential of causing other things to harm children, such as playground equipment.
You may not realize this, but today's newer materials used on playgrounds, such as plastics and rubbers, have the potential to become hot enough to burn a child's skin.
If it's 90 degrees outside, a slide in direct sunlight can be up to 140 degrees. If it's 140 degrees, it can take as little as 3 seconds to get a second-degree burn.
Playground materials have a record high temperature of 189 degrees.
We are suggesting a way to combat all these issues by cooling down and protecting playground equipment with sun sail structures and misting fans.
Sun sails reduce exposure to the sun's harmful UV rays by 96%. Sun sails also reduce the temperature of the playground and playground equipment and area by as much as 20 degrees. Misting fans decrease air temperature by up to 30 degrees.
With the reduced temperature and the reduced UV exposure, families can play outside comfortably for longer amounts of time. This means children can achieve the minimum suggestion of 1 hour of physical activity each day.
To take our plan to the next level, we suggested the playground of the future.
Our playground of the future consists of a solar tracking system, which are solar panels that follow the sun to get max shade and max energy, and a solar storage unit that holds the solar energy.
The solar energy would be used to power chillers that would be used to cool collected rainwater. They would be inside the poles.
The solar energy would also be used to power pumps similar to the plumbing in your house. The pumps would cycle the chilled water through pipes under the playground and in the equipment to cool them.
Since our playground of the future is still a little ways off, we will settle for just sun sails over our playgrounds for now.
Very,
Thank y'all.
very convincing. Excellent.
Is that your model there? I don't want to walk it around. Do y'all watch Lego Wars? Y'all seen that?
Yeah.
I saw somebody build a big tower and it fell the other day, and I don't want that to happen with yours. I'm addicted to Lego Wars. And is that your poster?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, maybe after we can take a walk and look at that. Would y'all do one more thing for me? Each of y'all come up to the microphone and introduce yourselves.
Will Mixon.
I'm Annika Small.
I'm Ethan Lovell.
I'm Drew Davis.
I'm Helen Swella.
I'm Joe Rush.
Well, I think each of you did a wonderful job. It was just as good as the first time you did it. Thank y'all very much. I know personally, this has given me some great ideas. It did before about keeping playgrounds safe. From my perspective, you know, I spent a lot of time as a youth. I lived right across the street from a playground, and that's back when they had metal slides. And y'all probably remember that. That would burn you up. But from a long-term perspective, you know, I have skin problems every once in a while because, man, you spend some time in the sun. So y'all are really looking to help the future. I appreciate that. This is something that I know I want to look into about how we can start putting sunshades into our parks to protect, you know, you, future generations, our parents, and your parents, everybody that's there. So thank y'all very much. If I may walk up and take a look at your poster, but I'm welcome to let everybody else speak while I go take a look at that.
I love the presentation. Y'all did great and very informative. And I still have nightmares about my metal slide from Lake Elementary back in them hot months. So excellent idea. I love the presentation.
Likewise, thank you very much. You're all adorable.
Thank y'all for coming. Think Parish President take a picture with him, or?
Okay.
Anybody want to hold this? I don't want to be responsible.
Well, that might be the cutest thing you see today.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I love the last group. Made sure they say thank you, Commissioner, all your support. About half
With that, we'll go to agenda item number 5, the director's report by B.J. Romano.
Good evening, guys, ladies. First, I'd like to say, hey, great presentation right there. Lots of really good concepts, some future and some probably present that can be implemented pretty soon. Director's report for March 10th. The Recreation Department's continued efforts to upgrade our basketball courts and have completed Phase 2 this month. Courts at Prairieville Park and Santa Monica Park were resurfaced by American Tennis Courts. Lemonville Court in Donaldsonville was completed last year. Slated for late 2020 or early 21 are Jackie Robinson Park, Darrell Park, and Modest Park. If you can look at the slides up there, guys, just look at the difference where we went from. We went from the Stone Age to the future in a hurry right there. In a hurry. And though the Recreation Department has future plans to expand even more basketball courts, once we do complete Jackie Robinson, Darrell, and Modest, our current courts will all have been resurfaced. Westside Baseball Softball registration push. Registration is making a final push for baseball softball registration this week. Registration information has been sent to the school system, displayed on our digital sign, on our Facebook page, and flyers were handed out at our clinic. Online registration has also been offered on the league website, as well as in-person registration during office hours. The Recreation Department will be taking to the streets tomorrow from 3 to 4:30 p.m. to pass out flyers and additional registration forms to anyone we can make contact with in the areas around our ballpark and on the west side. The Recreation Department is proud to report that our free baseball softball clinic was a huge success. It was ran in Donaldsonville at the Fairgrounds Fields on the 290 field. Proper technique and fundamentals in all aspects of the game were instructed by myself, along with Westside Programs Coordinator DeLacy Joseph and Administrative Specialist Cortez Mitchell, and BRCC softball player Brooke Romano. Her last name might sound a little familiar to you guys. So. Park upgrades, repairs, and maintenance. The Recreation Department, under the guidance of administration, has teamed up with project management to begin a maintenance regimen to increase our efforts to keep our parks safe and clean. In addition to recreation, DPW crews are out in full force, pressure washing, and making minor repairs as needed. Recreation is in full swing at our ballparks. Upgrades to netting and light repairs were made at the Fairgrounds Park in Donaldsonville last week. Butch Gore Park received a makeover on fence repairs, netting, and resurfacing. Stevens Park had additional rock walkways added, field leveling, and parking lot regrading completed. We would like to say we're listening, public, anyone, feel free to contact us at 225-450-1200 with any questions or concerns. Have some pictures here we want to show. We had like I said, we are every avenue possible. You want to contact us, we will try to get back and respond. We had a Facebook message with an issue that was brought to us. Our president himself saw it and jumped right on it, and within days, the problem was already fixed. The improvements that we had at Stevens Park, you've seen the two bottom pictures. One of our gates was located quite a ways away, and with the enormous amount of rain we've been having lately, it just became just a muddy hole for people to get out the park. So we've added rock pathways in, and then we had our another request from the outside. We had our parking lots regraded. Stevens Park's been regraded now. Then over at Butch Gore Park, softball season starts a little bit later than baseball, but it's kicked off now. And same thing, all the minor repairs we do, with the weather and everything, we had some nets that kind of came down in that windy weather, got that taken care of, and the guys were out in full force, just doing normal spring cleaning, getting everything ready for the masses that are going to take to our ballparks. And with that concludes the director's report. We did have a request by a councilman for some budgetary breakdowns and stuff like that. In the packets that I put up there, it's in there. If you guys want to review that now, later date, contact about all. It's not, it's a deal where I'll read some more on it. Where we're with new administration and everything, and recreation moving forward, we are rolling into increasing transparency, making things better, so we can actually see what our needs really are, what our greater needs are. We know what they are daily, but we want to get some data collected and stuff like that so we can start moving forward and start moving funds and stuff around to where they need to be at. So recreation budgeting currently runs on a pool system with an as-needed distribution. The budget rate is separated into categories and funds allotted based on past and current needs. Examples of some categories are site work at parks, construction, operating supplies. As stated, we are currently taking steps to implement an electronic work order system that will allow us to track every expense, equipment usage, and man hours. Then below that, it's just the basics. We have way more categories than what's listed, but just some examples. Site works at parks, we have $370,000 in there for the year. That goes for things such as surface materials, fencing, gravel, netting, turf, many more things than that, but we just gave certain examples. Construction fund, this year's a big construction fund because we have a couple big projects. The gym expansion is in the process of moving forward, and of course tonight we had our ballpark lighting, and you'll get some more information about that in a little bit. Operating supplies is $70,000, and again, things come out there like tools, toiletries, dispensers, hardware, miscellaneous things like that. The next few pages are just kind of a breakdown of each of our just basic parks, ballparks, and just regular parks. And anything that says general maintenance, that means the added term turf trash, turf trash and cleanups and everything. So that's turf trash from bathrooms. And everything else you'll see, if something was slated for this year, if it just had something completed last year, and like I said, any questions you got, we're feel free to answer any questions.
Questions right now?
Doesn't appear to be any questions right now, so we,
Well, I do have one question.
Chase.
And this, not so much about the presentation, just one in general. I had a few people reach out to me over the weekend who play in our recreational softball league, and they had some concerns with their normal practice times at Butch Gore. I believe there was a tournament there this weekend.
Right.
Right, and they seem to be upset that they practice on Saturdays and Sundays, and this weekend they couldn't do that because we rented the field out for a tournament.
That's basic policy. The league knows that. When we go in contract with the league, they know there are certain dates, and we do limit it as much as possible.
Okay.
Okay. And it's back-to-back weekends. It'll be this weekend. It'll be again next weekend. Now, the rec leagues, they do have weekday practice. They practice during the week, and then they have one day on the weekend. So it's 1 and 1. Okay. Now we have these two back because these are reoccurring deals every year. These 2 dates are booked, and we won't have another one till mid-May. And then there won't be another one that will happen during league play. Now we, as the council, as a committee, administration, all can get together and decide what they want to do because we actually have, phone ringing off the hook. I've turned down a ton that want to rent. That's revenue, stuff like that. But we're pro recreation, and yet at the same time we do need to bring in some fundage ourselves. So, like I said, I'm sure some parents don't know, but every league that deals with us, it's always up front. We discuss dates that are blacked out. They'll give us, because they'll have weekend tournaments too, so we make sure there's no conflicts there. And like I said, we try to limit it as much as possible, yet, it is a rental facility at the same time.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Thomas.
Yes, sir. I have a few questions here. The baseball, how's the baseball going, and the number of kids that we have thus far? And I'm talking about the West Bank.
I'm talking about West Bank, yes, sir. As we know, West Bank registration, it's been a rough little deal, and this year we made a mission. We're gonna explore every avenue possible to get kids signed up. Whatever it's gonna take, and I feel we've done it. I don't believe there's one avenue that we have not tried. Numbers are still low. They're still low right now. We're going to extend registration. And that's also why, if you read in my report, that tomorrow we're going to take to the streets. That's the only thing we haven't done yet. We put it in the schools, and so that goes to everyone in the schools over there. We offered a free baseball clinic. We had about 15 kids show up. Ran that, passed out registration there. When they had their awards banquet for basketball, they passed out registration forms there. Both directors, both specialists and director on that side, they've set up for their in-person during the day, and they've also went on remote locations to get closer to the people, street corners, to also do it. So like I said, we're trying every avenue possible that we can to bring in the numbers as much as we can. Now, I will say this, every registration, no matter where it's at, what is it, it's last minute. Last minute, people like to come in, no matter how much information we give them, no matter how much we ask them to sign up early, it's usually last minute. So most wait until they feel like they can't wait anymore, then they'll finally start piling in. So we're hoping for that final push so we can make sure that everything can run smoothly.
BJ, with your experience and expertise, what you think would be the worst, the most problem in getting these kids out for baseball?
You know, the West Bank is a special deal. The registration fees over there shouldn't be the issue because it's the lowest of any league that we have by a lot, by like 50%. It's I don't know. It's just I'm not sure. Some of it's transportation. You know, our park's located here. You have the general city around there, but then there's so much more in the outlying areas. You know, I don't know if that's what's keeping kids away. They don't have a way to get there. And we're looking at too. We're trying to get a survey out to the public to see, you know, what's better. Is the Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday league just too tough for parents to work and then get their kids here? Should it be weekend only? You know, and like I said, we're looking to, you know, like I said, any avenue possible that we can do. Like I said, we went to them this year full force with every avenue. So that way there was nothing left unturned. Online registration, you know, we had 4 or 5 kids sign up there. That's new. We got it, like I said, through the school system. There's a certain way you have to do it now. We got it through the school system. You know, it cost us money. You know, send it through the school system. I really don't think that there's any, you know, any stone we left unturned trying to get the kids in. So.
My other question is the number of hours that the directors, we have 2 directors, right?
You have 1 director.
One?
They have 1 programs coordinator and 1 administrative specialist. The administrative specialist is not strictly West Side. He's a floater between East and West Side.
Was there any reason for that? Any reason for putting because I'm unaware of it. I'm gonna say this, I don't have the communication that I need from the director and the coordinator, the young man that's there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not being called. I'm not being communicated with. You talked about y'all was over there playing, having some things going.
Right.
As a recreation person myself,
Right.
as a coach on the West Bank, I think I should have some type of input on what's going on in the recreation.
Yes, sir.
And for whatever reason, I don't know why they're not calling or why they're not coming at no
Now,
cost.
I'll say this.
And not that they have to,
Right.
but I would hope
miscommunication
they would
electronic,
that I would be involved
yeah,
in.
if there was a
what's going
miscommunication in
on.
electronics for the actual free clinic we had, I was copied on the email from Ms. Joseph, and you were on it as well as Mr. Robert. Everybody, both the West Side people were on that email and invited to come out.
President Whitmore?
Yes, as far as council interacting with staff, we can do communications, we can give input, but as far as direction is concerned, we're happy to take suggestions, but not direction. That is administrative feature, and that is so we don't have miscommunication. We encourage feedback, we encourage suggestions, but ultimately as an administrative function for direction of our staff. So I just want to make sure that when we talk about input, we love suggestions, we love communication, but we just don't want direction of staff to have miscommunications and a certain member of our staff getting 2 different instructions. I just wanted to make a note of that.
Was there any, you mentioned that, Mr. President, was there anything in that particular subject that you're talking about? Was there anything that I said or done toward any of the employees over there?
No, sir, you have not, to my knowledge. Not
My
to
point
knowledge.
was to make sure that they know that I'm available over there.
Absolutely.
And being the coach for a number of years that I've been over there, that they can use my expertise free.
We would love for you to email in any questions, and in that way, as an administrative standpoint, we are able to track communication flows, and therefore, if we have a staff member that's not getting appropriate information, we have a written record of it, so that we encourage email to do a lot of data transfer so that we can keep up with our interaction with our staff, with our council, so that we can make sure that our staff is getting out the appropriate information to everyone. So we encourage that.
Chase?
Yeah, BJ, just real quick, our restrooms at all of our parks, could you just enlighten me how we handle that? That's been probably the biggest complaint I've heard is on Saturday mornings, they seem to be clean, but, by Saturday evening or Sunday, they're, kind of dilapidated and very dirty. So I know we have some part-time staff, but is that something that we
That's
man?
not- Yeah, that's not in recreation. We don't, we really don't have a weekend crew.
Okay.
And talking to, administrator and everything, I believe that's something we have in the works, to expand. But yeah, I mean, it's a regular facility, and our facilities are used a lot. So especially now, the coronavirus going around, so we're up in our game to make sure we have hand sanitizer, soaps, everything in the bathroom, hand towels, stuff like that. But, then you also see this outbreak or this deal where all of a sudden the stuff's running out, supplies are running out, people can't find it now. We don't have that, we have it, okay? But it seems like, because I personally was with I got a call today about Paula Park, and about not having hand towels or the soap in there. I think they had said last night. But I was there, I watched them load it up, so now we're just wondering, is someone coming behind us? I mean, because it's public bathrooms, anyone can go in there, So I'm wondering if they're coming behind us, when we restock a bathroom at 2:30, 3 o'clock, and then we move on to the next one, is someone coming behind us and taking it, Or it's just, we're trying to get down to that. So I got the phone calls in that, but we are on top of it as much as we can. Again, it is public restrooms, it is used by the masses, so it is tough to, to keep them totally pristine, it's a battle, and I stay on them every day, and I really don't see a shortfall, any shortcomings that as a staff that they're doing. Like, they're doing everything they can do within the power that we have to do so.
Thank you.
With that, we'll go to agenda item number 6, the skate park update. Mr. Compton?
Thank you. Last month, we talked about this item and what progress we were making on it, and I just wanted to give you guys a quick update, and ladies. I have sat down with the company that did the relocation of the existing skate park and tried to get a scope of work for what it would take to rebuild. The scope is pretty extensive, which means also pretty expensive. And so I started exploring other options, which is what you see in your packet about the Rhino skate park ramps. After having a discussion with Councilman Lawler, parish president, and conversations that they've had with the folks that were involved with the original skate park, I reached out to a skate park designer in California that does this for a living. And based on a clean site, which is what we're talking about at Oak Grove, if we were going to build a brand-new skate park from scratch, it would cost between $40 and $45 a square foot. So if you do the math, a 6,000 square foot park would cost $240,000 to $300,000, brand new. My concern with the modules we have is that they were moved, and concrete is very strong compressive, but it's very weak tensile, which means when you start to flex concrete, you're going to start to see weaknesses. The modules that are at Oak Grove Park are gigantic. They look okay. I can tell you from firsthand experience, the skate park we built at Breck, at Perkins Road Park, has structural issues, and we deal with that monthly. We have done several repairs over the last 3 years, and it's constant where wheels hit, where trucks hit, where rails slide, that you're making repairs where the concrete was weakest. And my fear is if we spend these dollars to simply rebuild that existing park, we're going to see some structural issues over time. It may not be in 2 years, it may not be in 5 years, but those modules have been exposed to the weather. You have metal that is rusting that's now inside the concrete, and you could do the best technique rebuilding. I believe we are going to have structural issues over time. I would strongly recommend that if this body and the council want to fund a skate park, we do it from scratch, and we do it right, the right way from bare ground, and we figure out a way to demolish those modules, we use the concrete for riprap or parking lot somewhere. I just don't think it's worth the effort or the money.
We have 4 speakers. I will start with the non-councilman speakers first. Devin Landry.
Hey guys, how's it going? So I am a skateboard enthusiast, as a newspaper put me. The old Gonzales Park. So there was an issue with it around 2016 where there was graffiti and it wasn't the best. Me personally, Brandon Bennett and Josh, I really don't know how to say his last name. I think it's Dewey. We put our own money in to help clean off all the spray paint as much as we could, which I think we got like 70% of it off, besides pieces that were just heavily painted on. All the cracks that were there, like he was saying, over time, those were the weak spots. $20 worth of Bondo, that goes a long way if you know how to use it, know how to map it out. That fixed it for a couple years, but yeah, they came back again. But so the skateboarders are trying to take care of the park, or were trying to take care of the park. But yeah, a lot of the issues that were there were outside elements, outside people. It's a park you can easily duck off, and anybody can hide and do their thing, and that sucks that it was like that. But anyway, the new place that it's at now is really nice. I mean, I'm sold on just having a place I can go get coffee and go back and skate again, or just get some pizza, get some gas. So I really like the idea of having a new park, just for solely the fact that when it was first, the Gonzales Park was first built, that was the 3rd cement park in the state. So there wasn't really a lot of options to go anywhere else but to those 3 sections. So if we make this new park to where we can research all the other parks in the state, which there's one, it seems like in every other town there's another park. We could see what they're doing and see what obstacles that are heavily used, what obstacles aren't used, because there are some parks there that there's these giant 10-foot obstacles that I'm not going to go down there, and they got young kids that are willing to try stuff, but they're only going to try it once, and then that's it after that. So maybe a lot of the park doesn't have to be these mega skate parks that you see professionals use all the time. Maybe something a little bit more, somebody could learn to skate. It's not intimidating or anything like that. Yeah, I don't really know what else. You have any? Pretty much done.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, Malaya Chenevette.
How you guys doing? I definitely just wanted to support the fact that he said that there's a community of skaters, because just as many people as you might have that aren't really there to do good things, there are the skaters that are there to do good things and build up the community. And I represent that, all of my friends, all of my social media, that's what we're there for, is just the good of having something to go and do after you get off work and just get your mind clear, go skate, And like he said, it's right there by a coffee shop. You might have somebody come in from Lafayette who is a skateboarder, and it's like, oh, hey, there's a skate park right here. I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna get some coffee, rest, skateboard, and then keep going, So it would be really awesome for us to have something there, because I know I personally drive 35 minutes to go to the Breck Skate Park, and it would be awesome to have one 5-10 minutes away from my house, to where, I don't know, just on my way home from work or on my way home from school, I could just hit that on the way, So we would just really appreciate it. As far as new or old park, I really don't care. I would definitely say that structurally, I appreciate what he's saying about how it won't be there long term. So we would definitely appreciate having something new. And think that's about it. I think that we really appreciate you guys even appreciating us as skaters and saying, hey, we would love to give you all a skate park. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Noah Williams.
Not speaking.
You just in favor.
Oh, for real. Oh, wow. You should told me that everything. Corey Ogeron.
Awesome.
Is that Oregon or Ogeron?
3 minutes, sir.
And we have the timer up here.
I see the chuckles up there. When I was their age, I could do the stuff, okay? So all you goobers up there making fun of me right now, just realize I was young once. I think any activity that we can provide to our youth that instills recreation, instills physical activity is a must. That's part of our duty as public servants. But we also have a responsibility to the community as a whole. Since placing the dilapidated, outdated, according to Mr. Compton's, blocks of concrete in the location that you've placed them, I've received phone calls from local businesses. I've received phone calls and Facebook comments from parents that use the Oak Grove Park for their youth, for the young children, with a number of concerns. I have a very good friend, just invested into this parish greatly, built a new physical therapy facility, which is right across the street from where those concrete blocks are standing. He chose that facility, he chose that location because it was an attractive location. It was something that he felt pride in bringing his patients to. Now, not so much. I challenged last year when the action was being done, why move it there? Why put that eyesore for that long a period of time? And tonight, I'm hearing that it's probably not a good idea for us to keep that eyesore. I'm asking the committee to recommend to the full council to remove those concrete blocks as soon as possible. And then if you do proceed with an updated skateboard park for the individuals that spoke earlier, I ask that you communicate with the neighbors, with the businesses that are nearby, and advise them of your plans. Get them in the loop. Be transparent with what we're doing as a community, for the community. And get that taken care of, guys. I mean, there's issues with liability, there's gonna be issues with parking, there's gonna be issues with using their property, their location to park. When they can't get on the board, when they can't get in the skating rink, will they try to skate on in the parking lot? Who knows? Bottom line is, let's be a little bit smarter than we were in moving the skate park there in the first place. Thank you guys all for the laughter and the humiliation towards Mr. Oregon over here. I certainly enjoy the camaraderie I have with each of you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Joe wants to talk.
Joe Robert. Councilman Joe Robert.
I'm going to keep this short. I'm just coming here, I wasn't even going to come in and say anything, but just watching these kids come up here and seeing their excitement and seeing what they have invested in this, seeing what kids want to do something for the community, give something back. I don't know that we should just destroy this. I don't know about this particular equipment or this particular stuff, but I have grown up moving homes, moving structures, and there could be a lot of this that we could save. If we could do some type of program, some type of outreach where we have them put some skin in the game, see if they want to help keep this up and clean. And, if we do want to do one later, let's tear it down, but let's not take away, I get it if we have to, if it's dilapidated. But hey, give the kids something to work on, Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
Comment?
Here.
Well, I came from a family that participated in different sports than softball and baseball and basketball. And my brother raced motorcycles, and my daddy raised us on dirt bikes in the field. So I get it when you have a need for speed and for something that's a little bit scary, and at the same time that not everybody has the same interest in recreation. So I'm excited that the administration would consider supporting the building of a skate park. I certainly am not invested at this point in what kind it is. We'll have to evaluate that as we go along, and this body will certainly do that together with the administration. But I'm excited to see young people who have an interest in other things coming and taking standing up there when it's not easy to do that, and say, look, this is what we do, and we do it respectfully, and we want to do it well, and it's good for us. It's good recreation, and so I'm real proud of you. Thank you very much. And that's my thoughts on it. Let's pursue this a little further and see where we need to go.
Aaron Lawler?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for everybody that came and spoke. Obviously, I'm a proponent of this. I'm not sure what the right plan is. I have done some research. Ricky and I have talked tremendously about this, and I've spoken with Drew about it, and Mr. Brandon Bennett, who he couldn't be here tonight, he and his family, but I know they're big supporters of this. They did put a lot of work into the initial skate park, and they're really excited about this, that we have the opportunity to move it. I understand Mr. Ogeron's concerns about, we moved those pieces there. Quite honestly, we thought we'd put them back together much quicker. It didn't happen that way. But we've gotten some different ideas. Now, Ricky has come to me with I think the Rhino ramp, and I did due diligence on that, and it was a great idea. What I did, I looked up the website, and I spoke with people in other cities that had them, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem to work as well in the South Louisiana climate. It's a company out of Belgium. The people in South Carolina that had it ended up having to put it into a warehouse because of the environment. The other one in Alabama, it's gone within 8 years. It just doesn't hold up in our climate. Everything I've read, the other issues were some of the metal got very hot, as we learned today about sunshades. It got extremely hot, and it got sharp. I guess from grinding on it, it could get sharp sometimes. Everything that I've read, I think our best option for long-term durability, long-term maintenance costs being lower is concrete. One of the things that I was impressed by is Mr. Landry talked about going out himself and getting Bondo and fixing it himself. One thing that we've got going on in this parish, whether it's baseball, I know we got baseball people that go out and help maintain their own fields. We try and do things to maintain it. These people are willing to help maintain this park, and they're good people. That's one thing that can't be lost. Sometimes skaters get a bad reputation. I was a skater once. It got me all the way through law school. I had fun doing it. But they're not bad people. That's one thing that really irks me when I hear that sort of thing. People need outlets. Kids need outlets. These are adults. These aren't kids, but they've got a lot of kids. I know my son's age that like to skate. Not everybody can play soccer, baseball, basketball, or football. Not everybody's good at it. But I want to give somebody something to do, whether it's older people, younger people, doing yoga, whatever it may be. I want to give people opportunities. What I'm going to ask for is that within 30 days, because I've heard some really good ideas. I've heard conflicting reports about putting it back together, and there are some issues with that also that I've learned since, is that when putting it back together, apparently the last park had some drainage issues. So I'd like to see us come to a decision within 30 days. Are we going to rebuild this, or are we going to fund building a new one? From what I understand, the cost isn't that much of a difference between the two. So I would ask that the administration get together with Mr. Landry, if he's willing to help, get together with Mr. Bennett, and come together to an idea, because they really have skin in the game. May has it literally skin in the game on her knees. Come together, let's figure out what we want to do this and make a quick decision on it. And the only reason I say quick is, yes, there are businesses out there that do have these concrete pieces that are just sitting there, which is an eyesore right now. When it's all put together, it's going to be great. It's going to be really wonderful. But right now, it is an eyesore. So what I'm asking is that within 30 days of the next recreation meeting, that we come back with the decision made on which direction we're going to go on this. And, at this point, the key is getting those big blocks removed from that area. And if that means that we're going to put it together, great, we'll know within 30 days. If not, we can look at building a whole new skate park and look at the cost to do that, which I know, Ricky, you've already started working on that, and you've got a lot of information on it. And part of, one last thing, part of what I'd like to see, Drew and I have talked a lot about it. Wait, it's not Drew, I'm losing my mind, I'm sorry, Mr. Landry. We've talked a lot about it, is that skate parks are all different. I know a little bit about them. Everyone is different. And one of the keys about a skate park is if you have a ramp or some sort of feature that's different, people will travel for it. And you're not talking about something expensive. You're talking about a 3 or 4 foot different thing. People will come to our city for it. They'll stop at the coffee shop, at the Baskin Robbins, at the Burger King, and eat and spend tax dollars here. Because people do travel to Lake Charles, they travel to New Orleans, and they travel to Baton Rouge for those skate parks. So it's an opportunity to bring some people in. And if we can design this and do something different that nobody else has, we're going to bring people here. So I think that'd be a great thing. So the motion, I guess I'm making is that within 30 days, the administration come to us, and I will obviously work with them, with a plan of what we're going to do for that area.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Motion
So,
by,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I only have one question. Does anybody happen to remember the cost of the original upport? Like, do we have even, I don't know, I don't remember. It was 300,000 or 800,000, I don't know.
I don't know. Brandon Bennett would be able to.
Okay, I
tell
know
us more, 'cause I
Brandon.
know he worked, you
Yeah.
know him well.
Okay.
Yeah, he worked a lot on that. And did
Okay,
a lot of
that's
the
my,
fundraising.
that was all I had.
we got a motion by Councilman Lawler, second by Councilman Castle. Any objection? Without any objection, that motion passes. Councilman Thomas.
And listening to Mr. Lauder about we have our kids, there are a lot of kids that don't play soccer, baseball, and basketball, and those things. And I think at our last meeting, we mentioned that we won't forget our handicapped kids that also need something to do also. So let's not leave them out. Let's try and put something in for them, or try and figure out something that we can get them to do also in recreation also. So we do have a vast majority of our handicapped kids that's out there that's looking for something to do other than being in the house. So let's try and make sure we don't leave them out. Thank you.
With that, we go to agenda item number 7, the ballpark lighting project.
Are we not, so we skipping the Rhino presentation? We're not even gonna hear what Ricky had put together? I'm asking.
No,
Oh, okay,
let's get that.
okay.
That was for information only.
Huh?
That was for information.
Okay.
All right, so the Finance Committee approved the contract. I will be calling the consultant first thing tomorrow to advise him that the council needs to take action, and then we will move forward with getting that project started. So that's really the ballpark lighting update is, you guys asked for that update. The contract hopefully gets approved here in the next 2 weeks. We start the project. The goal is when baseball season ends, which is typically the middle of July, we start construction. So there will be no fall ball at those 3 parks this fall, and then the lights will be good to go beginning of spring season next year.
Excellent.
Councilman Lawler.
Yeah, I just actually just thought of something. So there'll be no fall ball at the, we have a piece of paper up here. There may be no fall ball. Is there any way, just brainstorming here, to have some sort of partnership with Breck or something, or the city of Gonzales, to where our players can, we can extend that opportunity to them?
I'm sure that's an option we
something
could
to think
explore
about.
as it gets closer.
Yeah, I just hate to see kids sit out for a season. You're going to have a couple kids that are like, hey, I'm not playing now. I may never come back. I want to keep them involved.
That's probably a worst case scenario where we're like, nothing's officially canceled.
Oh, okay.
But we are, if the lighting is very important and we
Yeah.
need to get it done, and we're hoping if things fall and ducks where they go, that we can be seamless, maybe pushed back a little bit. But there is a distinct possibility that it could be, so.
Okay,
It could
great.
be, so.
We did have one speaker, Jacob Kugian.
Hey, guys. So I've been coaching at Stevens Park since like 2003 when my stepkid was out there. So it's been a long time that I've been seeing how things go out there. I was on the field Sunday night coaching a team, and one of the hardest things to do is get a kid to get under a fly ball in these age groups, right? So whenever you go back to catch the ball and you look up and the light's in your eyes, then they've got to fight the light and the ball, so it makes it very difficult. They did this work 3 years ago, right? I think Jeff knows something about this more than I do. I was coaching out there when they did it, and we came to a meeting, and I think they spent more than what y'all are talking about spending on doing this now, and they really didn't fix anything. So I guess what I have to say as a citizen and as a baseball coach is, can we try and get it right this time whenever we fix this? And like Mr. Lawler said, and he and I have actually talked about this briefly, they didn't even bid out the job from what I understand. They just gave it to somebody. So what assurances do we have, especially if we're talking about canceling fall ball? Because if you cancel fall ball and you push people to the city, there's some competition between the city and the parish recreation here. I'm sure most of y'all are aware of that. If you push kids to the city to go play fall ball next year, then registration for ABC is going to possibly get affected negatively, in my opinion. So I guess, we need to make sure that we do it right if we're going to do this, because we just now did this work and spent taxpayer dollars on it, and now we're spending the money again. So maybe look into that. I don't think BJ was in that position.
No, I think that was probably 4 or 5 years ago when that was, and I was around, but not in this job. But yeah, I mean, the poles were put in, and they were definitely way too short. The poles were too short, and that was an issue. So, again, not a lot I can do about that. But I mean, again, our goal was not to cancel fall ball. We don't want to affect any registration. I mean, we want to keep our Paris program going the way it goes. But we've been fighting weather as it is. We just finally got a patch, and then it came back on us again today. But and it's tough to get out there because everything we have is so soft when you go out there and you get checked out there with the big trucks and machinery. I mean, we're just kind of guesstimating because we had a project at Jackie Robinson Park to have put LED lights up. That project was supposed to have been completed at the end of January, and here we are in March, and it's barely gotten started. But it's all weather related. I mean, we can't control the weather, So, but again, our big wish, the way we want it to go is that it's not, mid-July or late June, July, August, if everything goes the way it's supposed to go. I mean, of course, we have a lot of red tape to get through too. So it's got to go through all our deals, get everything approved. And then once everything starts rolling out, if it stays the way it's supposed to go, we should be okay. But we've got to prepare for it not to be. We always want to prepare for the worst. So.
One more thing. Councilman Lawler's got my telephone number. I would really encourage you guys that are on the recreation committee to try and schedule a time. I'll take some time out of my life, and we could get together at Stevens for sure, because that's where I'm at all the time, and maybe walk around and see some of the things that need to be addressed, so you guys will have a little bit better idea of what's going on out there. The same time that we talked about the lights last time, whenever they were working on some of that, I mentioned some stuff about some playground equipment out there, and it got fixed. So I really would like you guys to come out. There's a couple of dugouts that are being held up by some temporary poles and some other things that I'm sure that myself and some of my friends that coach out there would like to address, because coaching baseball is more than just teaching kids how to play baseball. There's a lot that goes into it. These boys are learning something about, and girls at Butch Gore or whatever, they're learning stuff about life whenever they're learning these games. And so it would be a lot easier if we didn't have to slop through the mud, and that's beyond everybody here, the weather. But there's some, I think, minor things that we could do to create a better atmosphere for everybody to be able to get out there and make these guys' jobs easier in the long run, so that we're not having to put as many man hours on it if the drainage is a little better, or if the fences are fixed properly for good and not just always Band-Aid. So if y'all want to come out and do that, I'll be happy to set something up. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Councilman Parrish, President Whitmer.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely schedule something. Be happy to. There's some things in the works that we're talking with the council and certainly this committee in doing some major improvements at the park. It's obviously a funding issue when we don't have dedicated recreation. And it's, you know, it's often just as simple as, you know, like on the presentation, a Facebook post of an issue, and we try to get to it as quick as possible. So certainly minor fixes and things that we can do, we love to jump on those very quickly. So we'd love to have the opportunity to go out there with you, get a list of items, and let's put a cost to it, and let's get some of these things fixed. I'd be happy to do so.
Realize, and we talk about this on a regular basis, that BJ's got limited resources, the parish has limited resources, but we've got 400 kids or whatever that's playing at ABC in our league, and I don't know what kind of representation from the parents we could get that for volunteers. I mean, I know there'd be at least a good 12 hands that'd be out there to do some work that would be willing to try and improve things as much as we can to make it a more enjoyable experience for everybody, because before they did some of the work, thank you, BJ, y'all did a good job alleviating there was some mud holes out there that you couldn't avoid, that everybody that was going to that park to go play baseball had shoot mud on their shoes up to their ankles. And people, it was hazardous for people to fall
Jacob,
down.
can you get the microphone?
Thought I was loud enough. So basically, all I'm saying is that there's some stuff that could be addressed, that us as volunteers, that coach out there would be willing to come. It's a little more than just slapping paint on something. There's some stuff that we need to take care of that's bigger than that. Mr. Jeff Melanson does a great job trying to keep the fields up for us to be able to play on them. And so I think we just need to all make sure we work together and figure out a way that we can get it the best we can, because it's about the kids. It's not about anybody in here. It's about the best representation that we can make for our children. So that's all.
Yeah, and I just wanted to know, the reason that, you know, we never want to counsel fall ball or anything else, but there's a safety issue here, obviously, and that's the reason why we would have to do that, because we can't afford to have a pole fall and kids be around, or any family members or anything else. So, I mean, obviously, there's a safety issue. We want to get in there, get it fixed, do it right, and then, you know, approach it in that. And there's also some major drainage that we want to fix in the off-season as well, but those are some serious financial commitments, and so we'll need to get with the committee, talk about those things, budget those items in, and just improve where we can, and constantly improve every year.
Well, I mean, one of the things that could be a simple solution for the not canceling fall ball is that pretty much every field that's out there, there's a duplicate field for the age group, so we can make sure that we cover fixing this field, that field, and that field, and then we can have fall ball on those fields while they're fixing the other one. So that would be something else that would just be communication between the people that are actually out there coaching, you know, Mr. Melanson, who's running the league, and then BJ and you guys, and however we need to do it. There's always a solution to a problem, you know what I mean? We just got to make sure we communicate and we don't let things go by the wayside. So.
There you go.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Terry?
Sure, I can't remember 4 or 5 years ago, certainly, whether we engineered the lighting at these fields or, you know, I mean, certainly that's what we're going to do now, is we've awarded an engineering contract to look at this and make sure that this lighting is done appropriately, or at least we would assume it will be, and we'll expect that it will be. So if somebody will find out for me, just from my own information, if that's something we did the last time, or if we just threw up some poles and didn't realize that it was going to put lights in the eyes of kids who were trying to back up and catch a ball.
It was engineered, I would imagine, it not being here, but it was more of a duct tape Band-Aid fix, I'll just call it, that was done, whereas this is professional services here. And things have streamlined a lot. In 5 years, it's taken off. The LED lighting has taken off in 5 years. So now it's more streamlined across the board. They're just specs automatic. So there's really no, deal with that with it. But yeah, it's definitely going to be, it's going to be a lifetime day. What we're going to get with this time is going to take care of us pretty much, well beyond, so.
Excellent. That's our expectation. We don't want to have to keep doing this.
Right.
Yeah, and I just want to let you know something that, last time, I think it was even before my time on the council, they threw up those wooden poles and the lights. What we're looking at now is either concrete or steel poles with LED lights. We're not looking for a Band-Aid fix. Yeah. This is going to be a long-term fix. LED lights last between 10 and 15 years, I believe. 23. 23 years, Ricky's telling me. But,
And 6 months, and 2
I
days.
always counted 20, 30, I don't know, years. I just counted down a little bit. But my point is, we're looking to do this first class. and that's part of the engineering that we're getting, is to make sure the lights are at the right level, because I know what you're saying about being out in the ballpark, or if you're trying to bat and you get a glare from something. So we're trying to do this the right way.
The other question that I forgot to ask that we talked about before is, so the boxes where you turn these things on all need to be repaired too. Is that going to be something that's going to be done whenever they repair the
Yes.
lighting?
It's complete.
It's complete?
It's complete deal.
Okay, so then the other thing is there's one particular place out at the park where if it rains and you have to go turn the lights on,
Yep.
you got to do the sign of the cross and whatever, pray to whatever deity it is that you believe in before you go to turn those lights on, because you're standing in a puddle of water whenever you're turning the lights on.
Bless your heart.
Well, that's a job for an assistant coach then.
I've been assistant coach too, Aaron, so I mean, that doesn't really help me either. So I hold any position they let me have in coaching the kids. So, yeah, that's one of the things that really, like, that really is a safety and liability concern for you guys as a parish, is that there's.
Maybe if you would, get with BJ and let them know, because we may be able to put something down just temporary to make sure people don't get
Oh, my kids don't
electrocuted.
play on those fields anymore. I don't have to turn them on anymore. So I'm just kidding. Yeah, we really do need to see. He knows what I'm talking about.
I've seen it. I believe. I know what you're talking about, and I've already got a solution there, and it'll probably be done before the next week. So.
Great.
With that, we'll go to agenda item number 8, the Recreation Department, plan by Ricky Compton.
So hindsight, I've had bad experiences using the word master plan, so I'm going to call this my recreation vision. Moving forward, what I want to do is just line out some of the concepts that we're working through. We're literally in month 3 of this new administration. I just want you guys to kind of see the 20,000-foot level of where we're headed. We've already implemented a new inspection program for our parks. BJ and Michelle have already inspected all of the parks for January, February. We're going to do this bi-monthly. Those inspection sheets are going to generate a list of projects. We're going to attack the projects that we can address within our current budget, and we're going to keep a list and create a list for 2021 and beyond for projects that need to be budgeted and big picture things. We're working with the IT department and the My Permit Now program that you've already heard about tonight, and we're going to generate an electronic work order system. That will enable us to start tracking equipment, man-hour, and materials, and be able to track what we're spending and where. I expect that to be implemented before the end of this year. The other thing we're doing is looking at national standards so that we can come back to this committee and let you know where we fall and how far we fall below those national standards. We're looking at communities that are our similar size, so we're not going to compare ourselves to Washington, D.C. or Houston. We're going to look at communities that have a population of around 100 to 125,000 and see where we rank. One of the questions we were asked was, could we produce previous work efforts that were done with regards to recreation master planning? And I have found 2 such reports. The one that was done when we were doing Better Recreation Now at Lamar Dixon and the whole parish-wide plan. And there was also a study that was done, kind of a community survey to ask what people might want. I was actually sent something today from a consultant who had done some work back in 2014, and so I'll add that to the list. But basically, as we start to develop a plan for every single one of our parks, I want to create a vision for what that park could be in the future, so that as we start going after grant opportunities, we can look at those documents and say, here's the vision. And something else I'm going to talk about here, the sponsorship idea. I think that we can sell an idea if we have a vision. Professional development, I've already registered myself, BJ and Michelle with NRPA, with the National Recreation and Park Association. We're going to start getting literature and having documentation and things that we can look at and point to see what standards are and what they should be. I've already purchased a CPSI kit, so it's a certified playground safety inspection. That is a low-frequency inspection. I will be performing those once a year at every one of our playgrounds. The first inspection I did was at Stevens Park, and I found those pavilion rusted legs. I reported it to BJ, and literally the next day somebody posted on Facebook, hey, look at these legs, they're all rusted. We had already engaged the welders. We built those boots. Those were installed yesterday. But by getting eyes in the parks much more frequently than we ever have, we'll be able to generate work orders and get things accomplished in a much more timely fashion. We want to figure out how to engage the community. We don't know if that's going to be a Zoom survey or something we put on our website, a Survey Monkey, something we put out there that lets the community engage us to let us know, A, what they're willing to spend, and B, what they want us to spend our money on. We are basically a maintenance department. We fund maintenance. We have big projects that, we're going to build a gym at Lamar Dixon. We're putting in $1 million of LED lights. So we, not stereotypically, but we do some big projects. But the bulk of our money and the bulk of our time is spent on maintenance. We have set up a weekly meeting. I meet with Recreation every Tuesday morning. And this morning, the thing that I had to wrap my head around is, basically, we have 19 employees. And when you start to tick out the daily tasks of those 19, I'm left with 2 or 3 guys that can literally do the maintenance projects. Because all the rest have things that they're doing: mowing grass, picking up trash, and cleaning bathrooms. So 3 guys are having to do all the maintenance. So as we start talking about projects and everything, we're going to start talking about upstaff and how do we get to where we want to go. And it's going to be bodies. It's going to be people that can help us get there. Partnership opportunities. I've already been with Ms. Casso to the library board to talk about utilizing part of their acreage for a new splash pad. Are there other opportunities where other public agencies has land that's not being utilized to the fullest that we can engage in a partnership opportunity to build recreational opportunities for our citizens? We're going to start looking into that. Again, the library is one that she's been working on for a long time, and we're going to be looking for more of those. Sponsorship opportunities, we're going to talk a little bit more about later, but the idea here is if we can engage the community with our vision, then we can ask them to help fund it. And I think that I don't believe I'm outside the box when I say I think that there are companies out there that want to help. They just want to know what they're paying for and that they're going to get it. Grant opportunities. I am going to explore every nook and every cranny. I have filled out the application with the assistance of the grant departments with the LWCF, and we're going actively after $250,000 to offset the lights at Stevens Park. We have 11 parks that are currently within the LWCF program, and as long as those parks are in our system, we are handcuffed with what we can do, and I want to go after every penny that we can get from that fund to help improve those parks. We've talked with some private citizens, and we've talked with the administration about exploring other grant opportunities to increase our trails. That is the #1 project in the state recreation plan is trails, be it non-motorized, motorized, and kayak and boat launch trails. So we are going to be actively seeking grant help to improve our trail and pedestrian bike pathway system. Technology upgrades. Hearing the light problem, I had 2 boys. We played rec ball for 9 years. I'm still at Santa Monica Park, and I'm still coaching a rec ball team, and I still hate throwing those breakers. I just hate doing it. If we can get to a system that is controlled by a timer, if we can get to a system that when a park is available or a field is available, somebody can go online, enter their credit card information, those lights turn on automatically and turn off automatically, that's where I want to get. I want to get that at all of our parks so we can control how, when, where, why, and you don't have to call somebody who is somewhere else and then figure out how to get there, or not know if you're standing in a puddle if you're going to get electrocuted. So that's part of the vision as well. The last one that's on your sheet is the inclusionary play policy, which gets to what Coach was talking about. I think that as we make improvements at our parks, it's important to ensure that everyone's included. Lastly, the kids that gave their presentation earlier is fabulous. And I told Aaron when we talked, Breck does a horrible job of ensuring that there's shade, and they go back after the fact and install shade. And that's going to be part of the vision, is saying, okay, it's $35 a foot. That's what it is. Know that if you build a park and you build a playground that's 500 square feet, it's going to cost $35 a square foot to put shade over it. Plain and simple, that will be a budgeted expense that we put in every park because you have to have it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it for the vision at this point. I think what I'd like to tell you is that with the playground inspections, the park inspections that they've already started, I am seeing a tremendous effort. And I'm seeing, what I hadn't seen before was that they know the parks. They know them back and forth. but they've never written down what's wrong. And as you start to write it down, you go, wow, it's a tremendous problem. We'll be able to present that problem to you for upcoming budget cycles and say, here's what we need to do.
You're like a Stradivarius to my ears. with recreation.
I'm trying to think if I have some land to give you to build
It's
something. Man, that was excellent. I would love for this body and the council and you and BJ and that whole department, I would love to regain the trust of the citizens and let's try to throw another half-cent sales tax at the voters of Ascension. Let's see if we can become what everybody complains that we're not.
Yeah, I say let's attack that in 4 or 8 more years. Let's
Right.
prove that we can do it. And
Right, so
I want to come before this board in 6 months and say, I got $250,000 for lights. I want to come back and say, I got $500,000 for trails. I want to come back and say, I'm taking the money we saved and I'm doing a project on the West Bank that was scheduled for next year because I've got extra money this year. That's my plan. I want to take all of those activities that are non-traditional and figure out how to fund them a different way. Whether it be a dog park, because people have screamed for years, we need a dog park. Absolutely, we need a dog park. A, where are we going to put it? And B, how are we going to pay for it? Right? Once I figure out those two, I'm going to find money to build a dog park, right? I mean, but right now, I am whole hog doing lights because I've got to get this project going because the grant is a deadline that's rapidly approaching. And so once we get that done, I'm moving on to the next grant opportunity, which most likely is going to be trails, dog parks, some other things, so.
Trail library.
Yes, ma'am.
Spartacus.
Anything else?
Just great job. I mean,
Yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah, great job. Real great job.
Thank you.
To say this, that there's no amount of money or no amount of time that you can put in for the safety of our kids and the people of this parish to do what necessary that we need to do and get it going. And in talking to the delegates on the trip to Washington, Recreation, they have a lot of grants, so to speak. We just need to go and tap into it and get it done. And you mentioned that, and I think that's a great idea to do so. Anyone else with anything else?
It's a team effort. I mean, people call me and they're like, hey, your recreation director's out there with a shovel, talking about BJ. Like, that stuff doesn't go unnoticed and people appreciate that. I mean, so thank everybody.
Let's look at number 9. Travis had to leave, and the vice chairman had to leave for some reason. Number 9, the policy adoption for community center. We're doing graduation months. BJ.
So we came across a problem where it seems like in the past they didn't adopt a policy or a certain standard, and they kind of had, sports-wise, there's baseball, there's unwritten rules. Well, it seems like forever they've been using unwritten rule for basically the month of May. You can't, that we don't run out to graduation parties because it became a huge liability issue. There's been fights, there's been underage drinking, stuff like that. Yet, I would say back in the day, I guess people could just do that with a handshake or just unwritten rule and say that's what we're going to do. But we felt it necessary so we can be standard across the board that we just need to adopt a policy on however you guys want to do it. It's hard for us to police it, meaning we have a contract and it says, and when we ask questions, what is the purpose for the rental? But they can tell us whatever they want to tell us, Where you have alcohol, they can say yes, they can say no. If you do have alcohol, we have a policy where it says you have to have $1 million insurance policy, and you have to have they have to pay for 2 sheriff's deputies to be there, okay? But they had an issue a while back when it was constantly renting out for graduation parties, where there was always an issue. Things were not, people weren't upfront about what it was for, what was going on, so there was no security, underage drinking, fights. I believe at one point there was a gun got shot, stuff like that. But like I said, I don't know if you guys want, if we want to go more than what we have now in the contract, where we just, we ask it all. We require you, if stay with us for, if it says graduation or it could be birthday party, doesn't matter. And then it says, you have to tell us if you have alcohol or not. How far do we want to go with that? Do we want to, what they had been doing is a policy where they just didn't rent it for graduation parties at all. They just decided it was too much liability. As I stated, I don't think that's not an ordinance. It hasn't ever really been put in black and white to be official. So when we tell someone, we just want to be, black and white, no gray areas. We're asking his input, opinion from you guys on what you feel. Do we just go status quo, 12 months a year, rent it out, do our same requirements as always? Or do we have a stipulation that says if it's for a graduation party, it's just not allowed?
Question. Mr. President.
If the committee would like, maybe we can reach out to the city of Gonzales and some other parishes to see what their policy on their facilities are, and let's take a look at that, if that would be satisfactory to the committee.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, maybe, alcohol at all, maybe that's something we might want to stay away from for any event. I don't know. I don't know how other municipalities do it. Just throwing that out there.
If you'll see in your package you got, there is a form, and it's an older form that was brought to committee before, but I don't think anything was ever adopted for it. And it's strictly, it says the opposite. It says facilities may be rented for graduation parties, again, as long as no alcohol will be served. But it also says that you must have security, whether it's alcohol or no alcohol, for a graduation party. I'm not sure, like, again, I just want to get, opinions and what we want to think about, if we want to look at it some more, as far as, if we have nothing in place now, we can't restrict anything right now. All we can do is go by our normal 12-month-a-year contract that we have and just, and go with that. In thinking about this, we'd also like you to think about, what do you think about how do we police it? Okay, meaning if someone does, is dishonest with us and we find out there was alcohol, they didn't have security and stuff like that. What are the penalties for that? And we just want to make sure it's something across the board, so we don't just pick one out and punish them, but then we don't punish the other one. Again, just trying to be black and white on everything.
Maybe we can talk with our new insurance agent from tonight. What's our liability on alcohol?
Right.
I would suggest that we take the comment that Mr. President made about checking the surrounding parishes on some of those, some of their policies.
Yeah, I think
in terms of
looking at it. I think it'd be as easy as finding out from the city of Gonzales how they rent the.
Right, we can find out for sure, but they have a standard policy. I've checked it a little bit, and it's just, it's the same deal. You just have to say what your event's for, and whether it's alcohol or no alcohol. Because even at a graduation party, adults could drink, but it's probably not the wise thing, So I don't think they restrict or discriminate in any way as far as what the party's for. Just as long as the guidelines are followed that are stipulated, that's the only thing. So,
Ms. Keza.
Do we have a deposit made? Is it necessary for somebody to put a deposit down if they're going to rent one of our facilities for an event?
Ms. Charlotte can probably answer that better than me on that. But as far as, I know we don't take a deposit that we keep because there's issues with refunds, because it takes so long for a deposit to be given back. It could take 3 weeks to a month for that.
So my suggestion would be.
Someone else showed up can also help, so.
My suggestion might be that if we think we have a problem with people being dishonest about what they're doing at a party, perhaps we take a deposit, and if it's determined that they were not honest, then that's cause to not refund their deposit. If they didn't have security, if they didn't, you'd have to be able to document these things, of course, and that would be on you all and us to have to figure out how to do that. But if you can't abide by the rules, then you don't get your deposit back. And particularly at graduation time, I think it's very expensive to get facilities almost anywhere. So a significant deposit probably wouldn't be a big problem. People would be happy to do it.
Mr. President.
For example, City of Gonzales requires $1,200 down, and $600 of that is for a deposit. And then if we can just require checks or I know we're trying to get more automated, so we're in the process of going to credit cards. We're in the process of doing kiosks, and we're looking at all those avenues to where they can even pay online without having, and then we can reimburse from that standpoint. City of Gonzales has the alcohol policy, so let's get all that information, at least, I mean, that's minimal, and the mayor and the staff there will be happy to share that with us. We'll take a look at that. We'll reach out to some other parishes, and no need to recreate the wheel here. Let's just grab what we need and make it ours, and then we can present that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Like to move on to 10?
Motion to adjourn?
No.
Oh,
Nope. Number 10 is the recreation sponsorship.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Ricky.
Apologize.
I'll try to be quick. I have researched multiple rec departments across the country that offer sponsorship opportunities. They have adopted policies in order to enable people on staff to do that. So what you see in front of you is my Frankenstein version of several of those policies, the things that I liked out of them, into a recreation department sponsorship policy. The city of Youngsville has a very fine complex that has sponsorship opportunities. So I'm going to create an appendix page that starts to lay out the costs to do different types of sponsorship activities. My hope would be sooner rather than later, so the next rec committee meeting, to have this policy, to have the menu sheet of those prices before you guys for a recommendation to approve to the council so that we can get legal counsel to adopt an ordinance that enacts the policy that says, here's how we're going to activate sponsorship opportunities for Ascension Parish. Again, I don't have a person that is actively going out to seek sponsorships, but ultimately that's going to be a goal, is let's find a person that is full of vinegar, that wants to go out there and find people that want to give us money. And on the flip side of that coin, when they're not doing that, maybe they're working on the programming options, setting up adult basketball, setting up a yoga class at Oak Grove, setting up a jazzercise class at Geismar Community Center. So all those kind of things, to me, that's a person, that's a job.
That's a needed person.
So as we get through this sponsorship, that'll be the next step, is who's going to do it, and I think it's a new person, so.
I agree with that. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you for working on this. This is important, because we heard funding is an issue. Whether it's getting a skate park, improving the baseball fields, getting sponsors are really going to help with that. In fact, I've already talked to somebody about the skate park stuff. So that is really beneficial. The only thing I ask, can you send a copy of this to us, like, in a Word form, so we could play with it also?
Sure.
You thought yours was Frankenstein.
Any questions? Any other questions? No other questions? I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion
So
by
moved.
Ms. Casual, second by Mr. Lauder. Motion to adjourn.